Feeling lost in our relationship story. I'm at my last resort. I caught my wife cheating on me December 6th. For the most part I was an emotional affair, but I think the night I caught her it went physical. The guy she was talking to was just going through his wife leaving him, so my understanding was he was vulnerable and was still into his wife but confused. My wife started chatting with him and think in October, that's the farthest I was able to go back on all stuff I had access to. She tried to kiss him but was rejected by him. But she kept pursuing this guy and making him feel wanted. Okay, now my issue. When I caught her she said she cut it off with him. I was not there to witness it, but she no longer has him friended on Facebook and I no longer see any text messages from them. So only proof I have is her word. She has not once wanted to talk about this at all. She says her way to heal is to not talk about it. Covenant for her. I would try to accept this but there are times I can't, so I try to talk about it and I get the same response. Each time I try to talk about it she gets angrier and angrier each time, saying I keep trying to relive this. During the first month we were sexual almost every night. But a few days later it would come back to me about what she did, and poof, once again brick wall. She always tells me she is not emotional and don't like to express her feelings. So 3 weeks ago I decided I got tired of hearing how emotional she says she is not and brought up the text messages I saw between her and the guy. She was emotional in those and had no problem expressing to him how she felt. She snapped, was all pissed about how I can't let this go. About 30 minutes into this she finally opens up and tells me all the stuff I have done wrong for her to want to cheat. I do accept that I was not there for her emotional, and I would turn down sex a lot due to stress and being tired from a labor job. I realize all the stuff I was doing to show her I love her wasn't enough. So we get through that. She has said this whole time that she wants to save our marriage. But since that blow up, our sex has decreased to maybe twice a weekend, which I have to initiate. If there is any contact I have to initiate. Kisses, hugs, cuddling, etc. She feels exactly the same as she did when she was having the affair, but even more distant. She says she is walking on eggshells because she is afraid whatever she says I take wrong and I'll get depressed. Which yes is true. But at this moment she will not talk about anything to do with her affair. Every time I try she gets agitated, and it's never the right time. So last night we had a good day, so I try to be intimate with her. Once again, she says she is too tired. She has been saying this for 3 weeks now. We don't really have intimate kisses, just quick pecks even when I'm trying to make love to my wife. Lately when we do it's can you be quick, or we have to throw in an adult movie. I think that's so she can get in the mood. So I get rejected and of course I can't sleep. So I mention while lying there, are you even still attracted to me? She says of course I am, you're still my husband. I have brought up counseling but it has to be convenient for her when we go. So we don't go. I don't know what to do. She has not done anything to regain my trust. And when I tell her that I have a hard time trusting she gets agitated. It has hardly been 2 months, and she think I should be over this and moving on. I can't, at this moment, and the more it goes on this way the more I contemplate if she is just acting like she is making an effort and just waiting for me to pull the plug so she can go chasing after the guy she was getting attached to. I've mentioned that and all she says I chose you. She does tell me she loves me, but she would say that when she was texting this guy and having feelings for this guy. I have a 2.5-year-old autistic child. So if I leave to separate, I feel like I'm leaving my child and leaving her to deal with him all alone. I'm afraid if I do leave for a while, she goes crawling back to him. I so messed up, I don't know what to do. I feel like my wife is making little to no attempt. I could go on with stuff that I was unhappy about with her, which when we had the blow up I told her, but she has not shown any signs of changing any of that stuff. She just acts like she has given up on life, and is just living, and just wants things to go back to the way they were before she made her choice. Do I started getting ready to divorce? Do I keep fighting this pain I'm in and suck it up and bury it and live with it and hope she doesn't do this again? Help. I'm half tempted to tell my wife's parents to watch my kid tonight and set her down and just let go on everything. We have kept everyone out of the loop but her best friend and a couple of my friends. But no one else knows. But I know deep inside this is going to push her farther, and possibly over the edge. I'm so screwed. I need advice badly or I might do something that will destroy whatever we have left to save. I am sorry for the poor grammar. Please don't critique that I have other issues than grammar at this moment. Please feel free to ask questions. I'll answer everything I can. I have left many things out to try to make this shorter. She had text messages telling him how she felt about him on December 5th, and on the December 6th was them making plans to go watch a basketball game with a group of friends that she always hung out with, which is her BFF. December 7th she goes to the game. I wake up at 3:00 a.m. She is not home. I text, I call. She calls back live 5 minutes later, tells me she passed out at her friend's house that she was at I do know at one time. She gets home and goes straight to bed. For some reason I decide to check her phone and found her at 12:38 a.m. sending him a message on Facebook saying, "Hey, I'm going to invite myself over. I think I remember where you live." He responds, "Okay." I confront her about it. She says she was drunk and passed out at the friend's house and ended up no going over there. 2 days later she is at a basketball game, so I send a message to her BFF's husband, asking him what time did my wife leave. It went a while, no response. Then all of a sudden my wife starts texting me telling she misses me. Her husband replied that they left before she did. I found out a few days later that her friend contacted her about my message and told my wife that her husband told me they left before my wife did. Feels like it was to cover for my wife. She was really concerned about me contacting them. Like, oh boy, I'm caught. Our ages, I'm 35, she is 33. We have been together for 13 years. She has had cancer early in our relationship, and I never once faltered. We were not married at that time. Text message were friendly text message from him, but real flirty messages from her. He would talk about how he is struggling with his wife leaving, and she would kind of talk about how to feel about him, and it had nothing to do with her home life because she felt that way. But she did mention to him at one time early on she wants happy. Comments. You are doing everything wrong. Stop having sex with her. If you think they were physical, you both need to get a STD test done. Seems you are begging and pleading to win her back. Stop that. She is a wreck because this guy is rejecting her, and she keeps pursuing him. Her way to heal is not talking about it. That's called rug sweeping. She seemed to easily be emotional with him, but not her husband. I understand you have an autistic child, but is it worth staying in your marriage if she cheated and won't talk about it? Sounds like she has checked out, and sitting her down to talk will do nothing. You need to do a 180 on her. Even though she defriended him, and you see no text does not mean she has stopped trying to contact him. The way I see it is you can't keep going on in this marriage if things stay the same. She needs to understand what she did is wrong. Seems she will not do that. Stop saying to yourself that it was because of your actions that led to this. It was your wife's choice to cheat. Sounds like you are telling my story. She doesn't want to talk because she is hiding information. Most likely she is still seeing him. A possibility is that he finishes with her and she is mourning him, therefore won't speak and isn't remorseful. I think the most likely though is she is still cheating. She is manipulating you with the "I won't talk." You are just wanting to live in the past. I won't talk because you will get depressed. What the hell? Of course you are down. She has been cheating on you. She made you depressed and wants to make it worse by not giving you what you need and then blaming you too. Really? I must say, I am glad I came across your story. It gives me more clarity on my own. My man was exactly the same. Angry every time I brought it up. Defensive, refused to speak. I eventually realized why, but I still don't have the truth. Though I have become much firmer with him once I came here and realized what was happening. What he was doing, his motivations. You are in the right place. Listen very carefully to the advice you are given. It is very important you do if you want the best results from your situation. Hope he responds. I see all her calls, text messages, and internet activity now. She lives on that phone. I have a GPS on the car, so I can trace that. To this moment there has been no red flags. I feel ashamed for doing this stuff, but she has not given me any reason not to. She has already stressed concerns about if she will ever be able to go out again. I've said yes you can if I go with you. She was bothered by that response. Someone said stop having sex with, that I'm afraid to do that because that was one of the reasons. She said she was having the emotional affair. I was not being intimate with my wife. Maybe once a month was all. At this moment I have no proof she slept with him, but the Facebook message I found stated up above in a previous response to questions. No way she just passed out after asking the guy she was going to invite herself over to his house. My gut tells me she did cheat. But stipulation can be bad. Here is a positive adder that I can go off of. We have never done a vacation since our honeymoon, and I told her once this all came out that we need to do that more. So since then, she has been looking at vacation places a lot. Even after last night. She has the day off today, and by watching her internet activity on her phone all she is looking up is place we can go on vacation. I was talking last night while I thought she was sleeping. I do that a lot since I can't talk to her and couldn't hear me. That this isn't going to work. Well, she ended up being awake and made a comment about it. Then 3 minutes later rolled over and banged on my head with her finger 3 times saying that will be the reason if this doesn't work. Basically, saying that not being able to control my mind and keep it calm. But like I said, that didn't push her away. At least she is still looking for vacation spots for us. I do see sign of hope, and she says it's going to take time for her to heal and accept that I'm not going to be who I was. Basically ignoring her and not doing anything with her besides sit at home and watch TV. But my problem is she doesn't give me much to feel better about where she is at, about how she feels about me. Or mentally if she is still here. Her guard is up. Only way to knock it down is by thinking everything is fine. Also, that may allow her to get careless and give me evidence that she is still in contact. If she gets comfortable, people get careless. At the moment, she only has 3 ways to hide this. Facebook messaging, I can't trace that. But I blocked the guy on her Facebook and she doesn't even know about it. So she can't contact him through Facebook. Her work email but is for health care, and it's highly monitored. Or what you guys say, a separate phone. So I guess I need to get a VAR for her car. Can someone explain what that is? I know she can't text or call on her phone and delete it without me knowing. Once she looks at anything, I see it through the spy, where no matter what. But Facebook messaging is the only thing I can't see if she deletes them. She could be possibly using her work email, but I can't request to see that, cause it's violation since she is in the medical field. You guys are right. I need tell her to stop looking for vacations. I do keep rewarding her. I sit here and justify it like it is my fault. I need to pay attention to what I write cause I sound like an idiot. That's why I'm so messed up. I keep trying to rationalize this whole thing's like I'm the one who has to fix it. I'm sorry that I look like an idiot. I keep torturing myself with rationalizing everything. Well, I decided to talk to my wife and not be a wuss and give in. I pretty much get it that she does not think she did was wrong, and I feel like she thinks I deserved it. Well, that was all on the phone before she had to get her hair done. So now I'm sure she was bawling having to see the hairdresser. I'm sure I'm the bad guy again. I didn't call her. I shot her a text saying, hey, it's 11:42, and you don't even send me a text saying hi or how are you? So she calls me thinking that I was going to back down. But I didn't this time. No, I feel like the worst guy in the world, and that's how it always ends up. I'm the bad guy. You guys know what's sad? Is this 180 is how I was treating her to cause her to have the affair. Everything that is explained on what to do in the 180 is what I was doing to cause this to happen. It is my fault and I am a terrible husband. I didn't deserve to be cheated on, but I deserved her to leave me. Wow, I guess I just need to prepare myself to be without her. It's hard to handle, cause I always visioned us being together forever and growing old together. Update, wife and I finally sat down and actually talked about it. Took me to just leave Monday evening and go out to a bar with a friend, and then I ended up just crashing at his pad. I didn't tell her I was not coming home. I just stayed out. She ended up calling me at 5 a.m., crying, wondering where I was. So at least I finally got some emotional response from her. So I drove home and we had long talk, and she did the normal I'm sorry, admits to everything, and even says she is willing to take a lie detector test. We both called into work and dropped her kid off at the sitters and just spent the whole day talking about our whole marriage and the stuff she is going to do to fix her side and the stuff I was going to do to fix my side. I told her I forgive her, but it does not mean that I am forgetting it. But there were guidelines, pure transparency was needed, and she needed to actually fight for me, not just continue like everyday life. She needed to change. I know I'm probably a fool, but I truly do believe my wife. But I do know I look at her differently, and at this moment I am really not sure if I will ever trust her again. The talking makes me feel better for the time, but the next morning it's back to knots in my stomach and distrust. I hope someday this goes away. I really love my wife. So, question for you guys who stayed with your wives. Does it get easier for yourself and your brain to stop overanalyzing everything even after she has come clean and is making the effort to fix the marriage? I'm sure it probably just depends on the individual. But if someone can either give input or send me a link where I can read how guys or gals have dealt with getting through the distrust and anguish you feel, I'd much appreciate it. Just helps to read about someone else's dealings, and maybe help give me peace. She still denies the physical affair. She said she is willing to take a lie detector test to prove I never got past IA, which I took her up on it. She has not flinched about taking it. I've already looked up prior, so already knew what I needed to do to have one done. She has been much more remorseful, and now has taken full responsibility for her actions. Just today for lunch she did a surprise stop by and brought some snack to the office, which in the whole history of our marriage she has never done this. Even though she is doing all this, I am not letting my guard down. I'm showing her I am, but behind the scenes I am not. Just in case if she starts to get comfortable and she is just trying to pull the sheets over my head. She might get careless and expose something. I am trying to be more alpha, but when you've been beta male your whole life it's hard to just change instantaneously. So I am working on that. I am also still implementing the 180 so I can detach myself some, so if this does happen again, I won't be so wigged out and do all the wrong things first. I put her first in my life, and I need to change that. I'm going to continue on changing myself for the better, working out, thinking healthy, and thinking more of myself and my needs first and my kids' needs. She is now second priority until someday she proves herself worthy again. Thanks everyone for advice, and I'll probably always come here to browse and read all the stuff that is on here and try to be as helpful to people the best I can. Update. Well, my wife finally shot out of her fog on February 5th. Ever since then she has been awesome. She lets me have my triggers, she tells me everything. Is very supportive, pretty much everything she needs to do. I did not do the lie detector test. I'm 100% sure it didn't go PA. I talked to the guy's wife that left him. And that night my wife was saying she was going to go over there. His wife said that she was talking to the OM till 2:30 a.m. She even sent me the messages, so I had 100% proof that she didn't end up going over there. So, beside the occasional triggers that pop up, my R is going very strong, and every day our marriage is getting stronger and stronger all the time. Our communication being better, pretty much everything on her part, and my part. It looks like at the moment I'm one of the lucky ones, and had a wife who took full responsibility and shows tons of remorse. I do realize that it is still early on, but everyone says go by your gut, so that is what I'm doing, and everything feels like it's going to end up okay. This does not mean I've put my guard down. That will probably stay up for a long time. Thanks to everyone who helped with positive and useful information. But not everything is always doom and gloom and black or white. There is situation that do have gray areas. All situations are different and will have different outcomes. But I'm a pessimistic person, and that's how I view everything. She says she will no longer hang out with those friends. She would hang with these people while tailgating for college football games, and has told me she is no longer going to go to games, which is a huge change because she wouldn't miss a game if her life depended on it. But let's see in Sept if that is the case. It's easy to say when there are no games to go to. But also, to my discovery, those people were inviting her out. It was the OM the whole time. So if he wouldn't have been inviting her out, she wouldn't have been going. Plus, I will not let her go hang out with them unless I go, cause I know he is a regular that hangs out with the group. She knows if I do come across this guy, well, it's going to be 3 days jail time for me, unless they break it up and let it be. My guard will never be down and her freedom is gone. She knows this and accepts it. At times reading these stuffs I tend to see this, and sometimes I think it can make people more hysterical and react badly to their situation instead of being calm and collective. In the end, the only way to resolve this is to have your wits about you and to be thinking clearly. I'm glad I found this place after 2 months, and not right away. This might have went completely different. Update. Well, since December 8th all has been well. No, since February 6th to be honest. That was the day she took full responsibility. She of course had her few months of denial, and not thinking she really did much wrong since there was no sex involved. She just wanted to try to forget the mistake she made, and try to pretend it never happened. We went on a vacation for the first time in like 6 or years alone. Left our son at the in-laws' house, and we had the best time we could have ever possibly had. We had some good quality time. That was well needed. Plus prior to that we were able to communicate, and not be afraid to let each other know if something was bothering us or not. In the end that ended up being the big issue, no communication, and now we are well on our way to a better, stronger marriage. I got myself into shape. I was rocking 189, now I'm at 167. I am a construction worker, so melting off the fat reveled that I had quite a bit of more muscle than I realized, and it has also helped the golf swing and my confidence. My wife recognizes that and is a little bit intimidated by it now. So I upped my sex rank, so now I feel we are equal again. We now do everything together. At one point I never had interest in wanting to go do much together, but it was a good eye-opener and I actually feel like I'm living life again, unlike the dormant life I was leading. So in the end it was a good, bad wake-up call for myself in our relationship and how I viewed it in my eyes. In the end I myself was in a sort of fog myself about the state of our marriage, and now it has been lifted for me as well. Story 2. My wife and I started dating near the end of high school, so we were pretty young, around 17. We ended up at the same college and did great throughout those years. I ended up proposing to her during our senior year, and we got married a couple of years later. We have lived together since graduating from college. I also have a master's degree, and she have an MBA. All told, we've been together for 12 years and married for 5. All of which, up until very recently, seemed great. My story: a few years ago, my wife and I decided that it was time for her to finally pursue her dream of getting an MBA. She was originally just going to get it from the school I worked at, since she would get a tuition break. But we decided that since she had the test scores and work experience to get her into a top program, she should apply to those. She did get into a top program, and so we picked up and relocated to the state where that school is a couple of years ago. I, of course, had to quit my job, and where we relocated did not have great jobs. So my career took a hit, though it was a decent position. But I was okay with that. I was happy. She was happy, and we knew that once she was done with her MBA, we would have a substantial income regardless of my job. So we went through the 2 years of the program. Everything seemed fine, though stressful at times. A very intense program, not unusual. And toward the end of the program she had found a very good job that we would be relocating again for. This was always expected, and we were looking for a new home. Since I would have to quit my job again, we figured it might be a good time for me to pursue a degree in teaching, which I had wanted to do for years, so I applied to programs in the city we would be in. I got into a great school and planned to start this summer. Things seemed great, and I was very excited for the next step in our life together. Unfortunately, this did not last. She graduated in mid-May, and within a couple of days after graduating, she told me she no longer wanted to be married. I had no idea this was coming. I had already left my job, and we were planning to move within the next couple of weeks. My life was completely turned upside down. She immediately started staying at a friend's place, and when the time came to move to the new location, we ended up getting separate apartments, since she didn't want to live in the same place. I went through the summer term of my teaching program, but felt like I shouldn't continue right now because of the additional stress of the separation and the fact that I'm not sure a starting teacher's salary is something I could bear on my own. The only reason it was okay before was because together our income was more than adequate. We were supposed to go to counseling over the summer and try dating, but we did each of those only once, and she decided it was worth it to continue in both cases. Out of options, seemingly with no hope since she hadn't budged in 2 months, and with no friends and no job in the new city, I decided I needed to leave and try to figure out my life from the city where we had lived before. We relocated for her MBA program. I at least had friends to stay with there, and I could give her whatever space she needed. It's now been 4 months since this all happened. We haven't seen each other for the past 2 months. We still email and talk occasionally. It has ranged from me being completely depressed in the beginning and contacting her way too much, to us having long conversations and mild arguments about why this happened, to pretty standard "can you mail this to me" or "how is the dog doing?" I have him kind of emails. We've always been civil about everything, and neither of us does or says anything to intentionally upset or hurt the other one. The reasons it happened, according to her, the reasons are somewhat vague. She's changed. She thinks we got together too young, and she hasn't experienced life on her own. I'm not the same athletic guy I was before. I was sick for a while, which made me lose a lot of weight and made me a bit reserved for a while. I'm better now and working on getting in shape and putting weight back on. She's not sure if us being together has held her back at all, which is crazy considering how much I've sacrificed to support her while she pursued her dreams. She thinks we have different goals in life, though she isn't able to say what those are. Specifically, what I want. I've gone through hell for 4 months now. I haven't slept in my own bed or lived with my stuff ever since I moved to the new city 2 weeks after it happened. After leaving the graduate program, I now am unemployed for the first time in my career and am having a tough time finding a job, like everyone else. I have definitely been at a point where I decided that I was done with it, and I was just going to move on and let her have her life. However, now, after I've had about a month of reasonable stability and time to reflect, I've decided that I cannot just let my marriage go without doing everything I can to change her mind or fix whatever is broken, or just start over with me. I love my wife, and I hate the fact that we haven't had a chance to work on this together at all. I'm hoping that at some point soon she will be up for trying to see if we can work. What should I do? I've read things here and elsewhere that I should cut off contact with her and just hope she comes around. I've had friends say I should do whatever I can to convince her to not go through with a divorce. I have no idea how I should approach this, and I would really appreciate any advice you wonderful people can give. Right now, she cannot file for divorce until at least January because of residency requirements. At that point, since it is a unilateral decision, There is also a mandatory 2-year waiting period before a divorce can be finalized if I don't agree to it. I'm really hoping to have progress before January just so the divorce process doesn't have to start. I have luckily begun to emerge the hellish pit of pain and uncertainty that I was thrown into, and I am making every effort to look out for myself first now and get things back in order to make sure I have a satisfying future regardless of what happens with my marriage. It sucks that I'm unemployed because I quit my job thinking I was embarking on a new part of my life with her only to have the rug pulled out from under me. I imagine that once I find a new job, things will be a lot easier, since I'll be able to focus on my career and have the ability to support myself. It's going to be a rough few months, but at least I'm on the road to getting where I need to be. I can honestly say, and this is not me being self-praising, that I was a good husband. I would do anything for her, and I would never do anything that would cause her to be unhappy or hurt her. This isn't a matter of her no longer willing to work with me to solve marriage problems. This was the first indication to me that there ever was a problem with the marriage, and she doesn't want to work on it. I would bust my ass to work with her. Unfortunately, she clearly has something else she wants now, and she doesn't want to be convinced that she should even try to work on resolving her marriage with the man who has supported, loved, been key to her success since day one. My comment: you've been used, and she pretty certainly has cheated with one of the other hyper-aggressive MBA types. What you need to do is go to total war with her. It's all she understands or respects at this point. You have significant damages you have suffered to support her and her education. Get a real shark of a lawyer and go for blood with her. I have seen this before with MBA and law students. It's the classic support me through my degree, but how dare you want a dime of my money? The marriage can't be saved. She is cheating. Go for blood. Oh, find out who she is seeing and make their affair as difficult as possible. Put on a VAR and check the phone records. MBA types unfortunately check their values at the door in such programs. What you guys think of these two love stories? Once it's something you expected, comment down below, sub and